Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of The World Today. I am Ahmed Nader, and as usual, we will be discussing the latest headlines and the articles published in several newspapers and magazines from Egypt and the world. And today I'm honored to be having with me in the studio Mrs. Azhar Hanna, the political analyst, who will be analyzing the headlines and the articles with us. Mrs. Azhar, thank you very much for being with us today on The World Today.
Thanks for having me, Ahmed.
We'll be starting straight away from Al-Ahram Online with the main headline saying, top prosecutor orders restricted access to the plane crash site as the probe continues. The top prosecutor Nabil Ahmed Sadiq on Sunday ordered the site where a Russian airliner carrying 224 passengers and crew crashed on Saturday to be off limits as the investigation into the cause of the deadly crash continues. The Airbus A321 operated by the Russian airline Kogali Mavia crashed in the Egyptian Sinai Peninsula on Saturday, losing radar contact almost half an hour after takeoff, killing all aboard, including 25 children. The flight departed from the Sinai Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh en route to St. Petersburg of Russia. Sadiq ordered on Saturday the site of the plane wreckage in the Hassana area, some 70 kilometers south of the North Sinai city of Al Arish, be off limits as the investigations take place. Mrs. Azhar, up till now, 24 hours or more after the plane had crashed in South Sinai, how would you see the investigations going on with the participation of Russian investigators as well?
I see it going smoothly, and I'm happy about what I've heard and what I've read all this morning and yesterday. But I'm sad about the prediction that everybody comes out with a new prediction. We cannot predict anything because we'll lose the genuine of the true story altogether. We have to wait for the black box. Now I hear here and there it was done by whom and it was under whom name. I don't want to mention anything.
Yes.
Because in journalism, indeed, if you want to be genuine, you have to wait the right moment and the right news to come out from the specialists that they see the black box. The more we talk about it, it's not good for us, and we have to respect the people that they lost their lives and their loved ones. We should not talk about it until we see the black box and what would occur after the black box.
And how do you assess the effects of the social media regarding this point specifically that you're talking about? Everyone is talking about everything that they should not be talking about till now.
That's what I'm saying. The more we talk about it, because each one is analyzing in their own view. By analyzing everything the way you see it in your own perspective, you see something, Ahmed, not everybody respects the feeling of others. So if I analyze it as a journalist and as a political analyst, it's different than a viewer or different than a primary school child that will be receiving the news in a different way. So as receivers and as delivering the news is different altogether. So it depends who's seeing it and who's receiving it. So in that case, I repeat what I just said, that we should wait for the black box and see the results. I see that the Egyptian government did what it could from the first minute that the minister went to Sina Strait, and I see the Russian government is they're doing their best actually altogether, both countries, and I believe that's the only thing we should do now. Just wait and see and wait for the results. That's all.
Yes, and turning from Egypt to Russia now, and Egypt Independent says that Russia warns the victims of the crashed Egypt plane. Russia on Sunday mourned the biggest ever air disaster after a passenger jet full of Russian tourists crashed in the Egyptian Sinai, killing all 224 people on board. Flags were at half-mast on the Parliament building, in the Kremlin, and on other official buildings in honor of the victims, most of who were from the Russian second-largest city of St. Petersburg. The Russian state-owned rolling news channel Rossiya 24 interrupted coverage with moments of silence and flash photos of the smiling crash victims, apparently taken on their vacations and posted on social networks. Some people had been on their first foreign holiday, some had never flown before, and one couple was on their honeymoon. Russian investigators searched the offices of Kigali Mavia airline, and the country's transportation watchdog said it will be continuing checking until November the 30th, but the charter carrier was still operating services on Sunday. Mrs. Azhar, how would you see the international reactions regarding this incident and this crash?
As again, we all jump to conclusions all the time, and we analyze whatever we like to analyze. No doubt that the family of the loved ones, you would see children, you would see newlyweds, you would see all kind of stories, because the plane really carries all kind of people: grandmother, grandfather, child, baby, mother, father, newlyweds, whatever. It's a very sad story, obviously, but the thing is, these accidents do occur. As we have the road accidents, we have truck accidents, we have car accidents. So we should not really go and be overwhelmed by this accident. I think the reason it was really flashed all around the world because it was overseen, and some people would probably want to take it somewhere else. As for me, I see it's a normal, sad accident, but it happens. As it happened.
Has nothing to do with terrorism.
No, of course not. I mean, this is very funny. I mean, how would they be hitting an aeroplane? How many miles?
30,000 feet.
Exactly. I mean, what kind of, are they Superman or something? But the thing is, you know, it's funny when you feel you can say anything on the YouTube and edit it and just let it go, and everybody today anybody can say everything and anything, and we can believe on disbelieve. But then you have something inside you, and they can say whatever they say, and we can analyze what's there to analyze. Like I said, we have to wait for the black box, and we see what the results out of the black box is. But I think this morning was the Russian government, the Egyptian government did dismiss that there's nothing to do with terrorism. So it was dismissed altogether. We should not talk about it anymore, because both ends did dismiss that it's got to do anything to do with terrorism. So
in general, how do you see this incident and this accident be affecting the bilateral relations between Egypt and Russia?
I don't think it will affect in any way, because, like I said, these accidents do occur.
Not even in a good way?
Maybe bring the two countries more together, because when you have feelings of sadness, or you know what I mean, you sympathize with someone. They both, exactly, they do, both countries agree on grief today. So I believe if it does anything, it would make them come more together than most people would think that would really do a breakup or something. I believe it would do the opposite. I believe these two countries will be much stronger today from this accident, because, like I said, it is an accident. It's got nothing to do with terrorism. And both countries were clear this morning. They both dismissed it. Both government, Moscow government did dismiss it, and Cairo government did dismiss it this morning. So I think it's all clear, and we should again go back and wait till the results of the black box. I believe that while I was coming on my way, I heard President Sisi said that please do not jump to conclusion, and which is true. We wait till the results and let the people, the specialists, do their job, and wait, instead of just going on the social media and write whatever. You know, if I'm depressed, I can write whatever I want. If I'm happy, I'll write whatever I want. This is not...
It's the same story over and over again.
It's all over and over again.
Since 2011.
That's right. We're in the world of media today, not media as a genuine media or profession media. Anybody could, film anything and just let it go and just analyze. So we've got political analysts everywhere in the world. Everybody is political analyst these days. Everybody is journalist these days. Everybody films anything these days, and let it. This is nonsense. This can't be. If we need to be more calm and see where we're heading as in Middle East, we should let everybody does their own job and wait till don't jump to conclusion. That's all I have to say about this matter.
Exactly. Turning to South Sudan from Egypt now, still in Africa. From Russia Today we read, South Sudan rebels still holding 13 United Nations contractors according to the UN. United Nations officials said that the South Sudanese rebels are holding 13 United Nations contractors in Upper Nile State. The United Nations Information Officer said on Sunday that the UN is engaging with the rebels to release the men. The United Nations earlier said that 12 local contractors were detained after the rebels released 18 international peacekeepers on Thursday. The rebels captured the men last week when they seized a United Nations barge carrying fuel along the Nile River. Rebels control the river's west bank. The UN has bases on the government-controlled east side of the river. Away from such an incident, Mrs. Azhar, how do you see the situation right now in South Sudan?
Well, the situation in all Middle East is very sad, yet talking about Sudan. Sudan, I think the United Nations need to do more work over there because they hardly are there, because we see a lot of incidents there. This is not the first one.
Yes.
And I think this is this situation of just giving the news press and saying that we did as much as we could. No, I think they could do much more than that to let them free out of Sudan.
Yes.
Sudan has need a lot of United Nations men to be on the floor doing really good work, not just having press conference and spreading the word out. The word is not enough in Sudan. The situation in Sudan is very sad, and I think should need more focus on it because we are not focusing on Sudan, and the world community is not focusing on Sudan as usual.
Do you think that the security situation in South Sudan and as well in Sudan would be influencing the neighboring states such as Egypt or not?
Well, everything is affected. If your house, then your neighbor has fire next door, your house will be affected.
It's a domino effect.
Of course.
Yes.
We all do affected. Even if somebody gets to have a problem in your street, the whole street is affected.
Yes.
Not just you or your neighbor. So it all leads together and to end up and leads to one road, which we are living it today in Middle East. So anything happens in Yemen, in Sudan, it would affect Egypt, Libya, Iraq, Syria. We're all, I believe we're all one nation, not just because we speak in one language, but I believe everything. Today, even Sudan affects America. You know, it's funny to say that would Sudan affect Egypt. Sudan would affect everywhere.
Yes.
We're in very large country. It's not states anymore. We're all one country, one small country. And knowing
and we saw that with the migration crisis from the Middle East to Europe and the West.
That's right, which means you got the communities linking together everywhere. So Europe is no more just focused as Europe and is one language. We have so many languages in Europe. So even we have foreigners working in Sudan and in Nigeria and in South Africa. Indeed, it will affect their neighbors, and it will affect I believe all the world actually. It's funny when they say it would affect, I know it's a general question, but it does affect.
Yes, and speaking about another part of the world, which is Palestine, from the Daily Star of Lebanon, we read, 72 Palestinians killed, 2,200 injured, 1,000 arrested in October clashes with the Israeli occupation. Palestinian Health Ministry said that the number of Palestinians killed by the Israeli occupation forces since the beginning of October has climbed to 72, while the number of the injured reached 2,240. 54 Palestinians were killed in the West Bank and 17 in Gaza, Wafa Palestinian news agency reported. One man was killed in the Negev desert. Meanwhile, the clashes broke out on Saturday afternoon in the flashpoint West Bank city of Al Khalil after tens of thousands of mourners took part in a funeral march for 5 Palestinians killed by the Israeli occupation forces. Mrs. Azhar, first of all, how do you see these numbers, these statistics, as we can call them? 72 killed, 2,000 or more injured in 1 month.
It's not the first sad month in Palestine. We see it as a level going up and down. It's been forever, the Palestine-Israeli situation. Some months do come in a very sad crisis. We have the number rising every now and then.
Yes.
But this October was indeed very sad October. I don't know where the situation is going. I believe, in my point of view, is the Palestinians should be much more serious in getting together and solving this, because if no doubt that the terrorists, as on Palestinian, is like, it's not negotiable, and it's not wanted from all around. Everybody was condemning it.
Yes.
That's not the situation. The situation is, I think we need to start to work on ourselves. When we have a problem, as a house, as a home, as a family, we have to get together and know all point. And the situation in Palestine is like, every group has their own opinion, and like they never
their own interests.
That's exactly right, Ahmed. That's what I was about to say. Their interest is, they put their interest before the people, or before the situation, their situation. So no matter how much I analyze, or other people would analyze, or you would be reading day and night, and all the news readers would be reading day and night, this won't finish until they all get together and talk, real talk, instead of putting myself first before my people and before my land. I think it's very complicated. Otherwise, I can't go any further with the Palestine, because I'm really sad about...
Do you see an intifada or uprising on the horizon by the Palestinian people, not the political parties, not the political factions?
Even if it happens, even the political interests would come first. They would probably condemn it, or they'll probably put it down, or they'll find a way to sort of end it out, you know. But before asking about intifada or another rising in Palestine, the situation there would be like, the leaders should know and put the people's interests before themselves. I think that's a first start.
So
it's not all.
An end in sight for the Palestinian-Israeli conflict?
Well, you know, it's been forever. I can't analyze it in 2 minutes and say it will be end. But at least, if we're all together and as a nation, we could do something instead of having 500 spokesmen everywhere. Because as I follow the situation in Palestine, we do have 200,000 speakers by Palestinian. Which one would I be listening to? Which one will I be? Which one is genuine? Everybody's. If you follow their speeches as well, they all say different things.
Yes.
So they all have different in a results of what. So as an Arabic citizen, or living outside in Australia, even as an Australian, I see it complicated. Yet again, as a Palestinian, I think I really sympathize with Palestinian, because their leaders don't know where they are going to be leading them. I think interest should be gone.
Yes, and put aside. And
Exactly.
finally, from the Washington Times, we read about Syria. Nations agree on a new Syria talk, but say little about al-Assad. The United States, Russia, Iran, and more than a dozen other nations agreed to launch new peace efforts involving the Syrian government and the opposition, but carefully avoided any determination on when President Bashar al-Assad might leave power. How do you see the latest round of talks in Vienna?
Well, these talks really, as Har, I see them a big show in front of the whole world community. First of all, when we say that we don't want to get involved in countries, interfere in any country's business, let's say, and we see in Vienna how many countries. I'm not following the really.
About a dozen.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, who says that Bashar al-Assad should not be there, and who said it should? I think the Syrian people are the only people that should say what and should not say what regarding that. Because I see and I hear about too many stories. Each one is like from oppositions. I see how many oppositions. I see oppositions in Turkey. I see oppositions in France. I see oppositions in Qatar. I see oppositions in America. I mean, I can't find anyone genuine, but the people that they lived in Syria, and they are
still living there.
And still living there, and they saw all kind of terrorism. I'm not with all against Bashar al-Assad, but I see the situation outside the box. I think if you don't want me to interfere in your country and in your foreign policy, do not interfere in my foreign policy. It goes both ways. The international community is not stupid. Everybody can analyze, anybody can analyze these days. When you see when they didn't like something in Yemen, we go there and change it. I'm not against anybody, I'm just giving you as an example.
And Libya and Iraq.
Exactly, Iraq was a first catastrophe that happens to the world, in my point of view, because when they went and invaded Iraq, it was without a UN proposal, at least, or UN did refuse that invasion, and yet again they went and did it, and none of the Arab countries, I mean few only, did say no, but all these people that they did, all these countries that they are wanting Bashar out of the way, they wanted other people out of the way, not discussing the situation right now, because you did speak about Syria, and I would like to really focus on Syria and be specified about Syria. But the situation in Iraq needs, I think, more series and more time about it. But I believe no, Syrians should have their word, and nobody should interfere in their own foreign policies.
Yes, Mrs. Azhar Hanna, the political analyst, thank you very much for being with us today on The World Today.
Thanks for having me, Ahmed. Again, thanks for the Nile TV.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of The World Today for Sunday. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.